If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way. If I had the nerve to speak, you wouldn't hear what I say. Time has come and gone so fast, we're not who we used to be.
I love it. And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Lilla. Lilla, thank you so much for joining me. Like, the first time I saw you play was when you did the competition for the blues festival. And I was like, she has to win.
On the boat?
Not even on the boat. It was the tryouts before that at the Mekong Bistro.
Oh, the first round.
Yeah, the first round is the first time I saw you on stage, and I was like, I have to interview this woman because your voice and your ability to play, off the charts, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Off the charts.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. At what point did you pick up music in your life?
Man, music has been in me since I was in my mom's womb. I'm just gonna give you like the longer version. So my mom, no one in my family except like maybe a couple great uncles or grandmother or something, super musical, but my mom always sang to me. She said she sang when she was pregnant with me. She taught me harmony when I was a little kid. She used to listen to Motown and Stax and all the soul R&B records that I love, that I've always loved growing up. So I was introduced to great music from a young age, and then I think I just always had a passion for it. I think in middle school I was always doing little talent shows, and when I got to high school, there was a great gospel choir. I went to Grant High School. And I was in all the choirs too. I think there was like 5, and I was in maybe 4 of the 6 because one was a guys choir, so I couldn't do it. But I think that I've always just had a passion for writing and singing. It's just a part of who I am. And I think in high school, I started to realize, I think I want to pursue this because nothing else makes me happier. So I've always been singing and writing until fairly recently. I just kind of used the guitar as a writing tool.
Okay.
I always wanted to get better at it, but the guitar, with voice and piano, because I play piano too, it always kind of came easy to me. I think I learned piano by ear because I just had one. But the guitar, I was a little bit intimidated by at first, And so I just use it as a writing tool, but I feel like I wasn't as good as I would like to be. And when lockdown hit, I finally had some time to actually practice a little bit. So I started getting a little bit more into it, but it's been in the last, I want to say 2.5 years that I've really kind of made practicing and taken some lessons and become more serious about it.
Yeah.
It's always been, guitar has always been something I wanted to do, but it's more recent than singing and piano for sure.
So how, when you do you remember the first piano that you played?
Yeah, my mom has a fabulous piano. I think she had my grandma bought it for her when she was a kid, hoping that my mom would take lessons, but she didn't have, I don't think she had a teacher that really, my mom didn't connect with the teacher, so she didn't pursue it, but my grandmother still kept the piano. So my mom, in turn, took it to her house when she grew up. And so I always grew up with a really nice, it's an upright grand. So it's like an upright grand is like an upright, except the strings are much longer. So the resonation cavity is much larger and the sound is more full. It's an Ellington upright grand, and it's over 100 years old. And it's barely been touched, mostly by me and whoever had it before, but it's in fabulous shape. The tone is great. So I've always, since I was a little kid, just fooled around on it.
Do you get a chance to play it much anymore?
Whenever I go to my mom's house, yeah, I have to figure out a way to like eventually take it because, you know, she's keeping it there for me, but she doesn't use it. And I need to figure out a way to take it. My neighbors probably wouldn't like it right now if I took it, but over the next couple of years, I'm going to find a plan to, you know, be able to keep that piano because it's big. It's nothing you want to move often. It's very large and heavy.
And they don't make them like they used to.
Oh, it sounds so good. And, you know, I've played all types of grands, Steinways, just really great, beautiful sounding pianos. And I feel like that's one, maybe if not my favorite piano to play. It just has such a nice, round, rich, warm tone, and the resonation chamber creates a natural reverb. Even when I sing, it creates a natural reverb into the channel of where the piano lives. So
it's one of those instruments that sort of lends itself to increase the volume of somebody's voice.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that about grand pianos. They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's like there's an echo chamber inside of it, you know? So not only do the keys get to utilize that, but even singing or other instruments if you're really close. It also is old, so it's got that like tin pan pedal. It's got 3 pedals. It's got one that's kind of for more like stride and kind of old time playing, and then it's got one that's kind of a dampener, and then it's got the reverb. So it's got 3 pedals, unlike most that have 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like you're in choir, you're sort of learning the piano. At what point did you start thinking like I want to write or create my own music?
Oh, I think I've always read. I think my mom saved a song that I wrote when I was like 7 somewhere. I don't have it. I didn't even know this about myself because, you know, we don't remember that clear. I don't remember that clearly when I was that young, but I think like as a little kid, I was writing little songs all the time. And it's interesting. I have a niece who has a great musical ear too. And she's always writing little songs. She's taking electronic music production class. She's 8. So dope. Awesome. But I think it's just always been in me. And, you know, though my parents were not musicians, thank goodness they always encouraged me. I mean, we've all been like hit with the, maybe you should choose something as a backup or whatever, but I never, I mean, you know, I there's no other thing for me. I wouldn't be as happy. Not that I couldn't do other jobs, but it's always just called to me.
It's one of those things where if you're able to do that as a career, it's never really work. Even though it's one of the hardest jobs
you know,
on the planet.
Yes, but I will say there is work, but the benefits outweigh the other aspects. You know, this world with all the extra stuff that we have to do as far as promotion and social media and all this extra, that feels like work. But I know it's a part of the bigger picture, and I know the reward is worth it. I think that, you know, I used to, when I first started, feel weird about promoting myself on social media, and it made me a little bit shy, or not going to say shy, just uncomfortable, because it's like personal, and putting yourself out there all the time has this whole feeling that some people are okay with it, but some people feel like a little awkward. But I realized at one point, if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. I just force myself to do all the other parts that feel like work, because even if you put 20 hours into planning for one show, that 1 hour is so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And one of the things that I appreciate about musicians in particular is that the amount of work and the amount of passion it takes to be stage ready, because it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. Like some people may like believe like you pick up a guitar and you're good at it in 2 weeks. Like that's not real.
I mean, that was what it's like with piano, but the guitar is a very humbling experience for sure.
Yeah.
Because I expect, even with singing, but you know what I think it was? Because I started as a little kid. So I probably wasn't great then anyway, you know, but I did it for years and years and got comfortable with my instruments. And picking up the guitar, it just seemed foreign. You know, it's laid out very differently than the piano. The theory is the same, but structurally different. So it was very humbling and teaching me. It's teaching me a lot still. The guitar is teaching me a lot just about life and patience and why I'm doing this. You know, I remind myself every day that I'm doing this because I enjoy, and you have to enjoy the process. I enjoy practicing guitar, which is weird. Don't enjoy practicing piano, but I enjoy practicing guitar. So
I wouldn't say weird, just different.
yeah.
Yeah. But then again, I know so many people that love the guitar. So maybe I'm a little biased.
Yeah, I mean, I love the piano too. It's just, it speaks to me differently. I love the sound of it, and I love writing on it, and I love to hear other people. It just doesn't quite light me up the same way the guitar does, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to go with that.
Yeah.
Something lights me up, that's my kind of path. Okay, I'm going to follow that.
Because that's what kind of keeps you the ability to be whole while you do what you do.
Yeah, because you have to be able to sustain it, you know. That's a good topic, because for a lot of my career, people have pressured me to venture into the more pop and the more dance and the more commercial side, which, no shade to anyone, you know, they were just like doing what they thought was best and what they liked to hear of me. And I've had, you know, some success in the pop and dance world, but always in my heart, like soul and rhythm and blues music resonated with me most. And I just know that I'm going to have to sustain whatever path I'm walking down.
Yeah.
And so why start down a path that eventually I'm going to want to veer off of? I might as well stay on the path that I can, well, now, at least now, because we change as musicians, but sustain long term. And you have to like love it. Like we said, when the things are getting hard, you have to still find a way to get through it. So I think, you know, the blues and the R&B and the soul world have always been who I am at my core. I'm trying to just stay true to that.
And I can appreciate that because you can tell when you're on stage.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like you exude soul when you're on stage performing. You really do. And it's one of those things where it's like you can tell, like, yeah, this is the right fit. Because you not only can you tell you're into it, the audience, every time I've seen you perform, gets into it as well. And one of the things I love talking to artists about is like the importance of that sort of symbiotic relationship between the audience and the artist. What do you love about audience participation at your shows?
So much. I mean, you know, energy is contagious. I was just listening to something that said when we're in a certain mode or mood, we emit certain frequencies and just all kinds, like hormones and things, into the air. So when you have a group gathered and you're all on the same page, experiencing joy or grooving or having a nice time or just even connecting, it's amplified. So the audience just amplifies what I'm feeling, and I send it out to them and they send it back to me, and it's like a beautiful relationship where we're giving to each other.
Yeah, I love that. And then the other thing I also talk to musicians about is the process of the muse, because I do believe the muse is a living, breathing thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you capture the muse when it visits you?
So I learned something that's been working for me recently. I was listening to John Mayer do a talk. He's a fabulous guitar player and songwriter, and I really respect just what he's done. Who's highly influenced by blues too. And as I've gotten in guitar, I've gotten into more of what he's doing. And he said when the muse strikes or when the inspiration is flowing, you just let it go. You turn off your phone, you cut all distractions, you do whatever you can to just let that channel, whatever's coming through, come through until it's done. And if it's coming and I feel like, oh, this song's coming through, I do everything I can to stop any distractions. Because a lot of times we are open channels, but distractions stop us. So that's one way. And I used to think I have to wait for the inspiration to strike, right? So sometimes it strikes and the muse comes through. Often when I'm doing like a guitar exercise and I hear a cool chord and that inspires, ooh, these two chords, and then I hear a song automatically. And that's like when the inspiration hits, I will veer off my practice and be like, okay, a song's coming through. Give everything to that song until it's done. But also sometimes I feel like it's just always there. And if we sit in stillness with intention to be open to it, we'll hear it and we'll feel it. A lot of times it's not this clear. A song is here and I want it to, it's like we have to do something to maybe ignite the spark a little, whether it's just making space or learning something new that inspires you. Not like I'm going to sit down and write a song exactly like this, but more sitting in quiet, sitting in stillness, setting an intention. I'm going to create. Nature always gives me a lot of inspiration. Being up high for some reason. Like I used to write growing up at my mom's house. She has like this deck. And you can kind of see some of the city. And I would go up there and write all the time. It was just a nice place to write. And I live on an apartment, and so it's kind of high up. So being up high helps inspire me a little bit. Other great music, but usually it's just either I'm practicing something and I hear some cool chords, or I'm in nature, or I'm giving myself some time, or sometimes a song will just pop in my head. So multiple ways, I guess. Sometimes a rhythm track will inspire me.
I can see that. Yeah.
So there's a couple different things that spark it. But when it's going, I try and just like, okay, everything out of the way. I'm going to let this flow and see where it goes.
And then are you the kind of musician that likes to like put entire albums together and then release like an album, or are you kind of like more like singles based?
I think both. So my last album, which is called Soul Love, I wanted it to sound like a full, complete work. So with that album in mind, I did want it to sound like a full work, a piece.
Which I appreciate so much, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah. And I feel like that was the first record that I really went in with that intention to want people to listen from the beginning to end. I recorded it all in one studio, used the same rhythm section, really planned, rehearsed beforehand so that it could feel not over rehearsed, but just so we could feel comfortable. And it was like the smoothest recordings. We did it very fast, had charts, had demos. It was a great way to, and I had played through some of the songs as well. I have two previous albums to that, The Awakening, and then Music Trance was the first one. Those were kind of, I was younger and newer as a producer. And so I just wrote songs and thought, oh, these could fit together on a record. But it sounded a little like they were pulled together, which they're both great albums, but I really like how the third feels like one work, even though they're different songs and there's different feelings and moods. And then I've released some singles as well that are not on any record. More albums than singles, but I know the way the world is going. People say it's a singles game, but I also feel like the old school's coming back. Vinyl's coming back.
I'm really hopeful.
Live music is coming back, even with all the AI stuff. People are going to shows, It's been really beautiful playing these last couple months. This last year, I really feel like the music is alive and well and thriving, and people are excited to go out and hear music. After lockdown, even though it was a long time ago, the music industry was really hit hard, and it's taken years to kind of get its back on its feet.
Yeah.
I feel like things are, in my experience, things are popping. It's good. People are out listening, having a great time, connecting, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm excited.
And one of the things that I always recommend to people, if they're just getting into music or if they want a different experience in music, is to get a whole album and commit yourself to listening from start to finish.
Yeah.
Not only just for the homage to the artist that put all of the time and consideration, but leave your mind open for a journey. Because when you're able to have that sort of experience and you can dedicate an hour to the music and just kind of follow along, it has this meditative quality that you get from the entirety of the album versus to a couple of songs. So I always recommend people to do that because it means so much. So much more, if you will, if you go on that journey. Because it's one of those things where I see what you're saying, and there are more and more artists that I talk to on this podcast that are going back to doing full-length albums. They kind of got sucked into that singles trap, but then they're like, no, we can always just put a single off of the album.
That's exactly what my plan is, unless it's really something that should be a single.
Yeah.
But I only have one of those. The rest, is maybe I have a couple. I don't know. One that comes to mind, but hey, you can always put it on an album later. But I do think what I've learned is you do want to have a plan going in because the way it's recorded is important. So if you want it to be an album, you kind of want some consistency, at least for me, because I like to do everything organically. So the way that it's recorded and the way the mics that are used and things like that, it's important to kind of think ahead if you're going to put it all together.
Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by organically, though? Because I don't think a lot of people understand what that means.
Sure. So, so I produced the last couple albums, and in the early parts, and I'd be working with an engineer, and the mixing is such a huge part of getting the sound. All the pieces are, from how it's recorded and the instruments that are used and the mics that are used, but also how it's mixed and the mixing engineer. Those can all really change the landscape of a record. But I feel like I prefer a more organic, warmer sound of real instruments. But I also like a little bit of a hybrid sound. So sometimes, like on my last record, I will sample the drums from the Pro Tools session, put them on a grid so they're a little tighter, because a lot of popular music we hear today is sampled drums or drums that are produced in a drum machine or some type of sequencer. So you want to get that tightness, but at the same time, I really like the sound of vintage instruments and warmth and texture. So I try and combine, you know, the warmth and the sound with a little bit of an edgier production. But I think it also just depends on the sound, what the song calls for, you know?
Yeah.
I just know I tend to go for a warmer, more full, natural sound on a lot of the instruments on the songs that I like for myself.
I really appreciate that. It's something else I'd like to always like to ask musicians is if you think about like your history in music, do you remember a time where you started at noticing like you were actually really good at it?
Well, singing, I've always kind of felt like I was pretty good. And I think that's just because my mom taught me harmony at like age 3. So I'm comfortable on the instrument. And I think, you know, a lot of it is, yes, we're gifted with our voice and our sound, but also a lot is like comfort and control and confidence and also how much you practice something. And I've just always sang my whole life. So I always felt pretty confident singing and even playing. Well, that's two sides. When I was probably 7 or 8, a friend of mine was taking lessons and she was taking some classical stuff. And I picked up a couple pieces just by watching her. So I thought it was pretty good and I was confident. But then I went to a piano teacher and she was strictly classical. She basically said, you don't need lessons, you could just learn by ear. So I started out feeling really confident, but as I got older and didn't really progress because I didn't have any guidance, I started to feel less confident. When I got to college, I took a piano course that was like jazz harmony techniques or something pretty heady. And I remember, you know, playing 2 hours a night, just like banging my head on, like, this is so hard, my brain hurts. After a couple semesters of those, they were just labs. I started to feel like, okay, I'm sounding pretty good now. So, you know, a lot of my lifetime muddling my way through, feeling like I can figure out how to sound good, but I'm not very good. I'm limited. I'll say that because I have a good ear.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I didn't really have lessons till later in life, I always relied on my ear, which is a very good skill to have. And a lot of times in choirs, I would just hear the gospel choir teacher didn't have any music. She would just sing something. And so I developed an ear, but as far as, you know, reading and things like that, it wasn't until college that I started to feel confident on piano. And then guitar, that's a mixed bag. I feel like just recently I'm starting to feel like, okay, I sound pretty good. But there was a lot of, you know, and there's always going to be this. I can get better. I can do better. You know, it's acceptable now. I'm happy with it. But I'm a very hard critic on myself. So some might say, you sound great on guitar. And in my head, I'm like, yes, I'd like to be better.
Would it surprise you to know that I've asked that of like 30 musicians at this point, and every single person who has played guitar has had that same response?
Good.
Even Brandon Logan.
We're normal. Yeah, Brandon. Yeah.
Even Brandon Logan. I'm not very good. Like, I can be better.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's just, I think that's almost like a hallmark of a good guitarist.
Yeah, because you have to have something to strive to get to push you to want to be better. We're going to stay at the same baseline. So if you don't have that drive, how will you evolve, you know? A healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And so one of the things that I love to talk about too is just how important it is for people to support their local musicians. Like, what does it mean to you as a musician to have the support of the community behind you, especially in this day and age with the way the music scene is?
It's so important. It means everything. I think that I would not have done the journey to Memphis and be sitting here today and be going to Memphis and even had pushed myself to get better on guitar if part of the community didn't believe in me. I know they say, you know, tough love is good for you, but I think the power of belief is so powerful. It is one of the most magical, important things. And I think I was considering not entering because I found out about a week before the Mekong first round. And at that point, I kept trying to decide, should I do it? I'm not ready. I need to practice more. And this is the craziest story. I was 50-50. I almost didn't do it because I thought, you're not ready. You need to go home and practice more. But I've really been trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. And I know that you're not going to get better without being bad. You know, we don't start out amazing. Right. I'm sure when I was a little kid, I sounded not great singing. You know what I mean? But you have to start somewhere. And so I did it for the experience and to meet people and to build community. And that's been the best part of it. All the wonderful people I've been meeting and all the love everybody's been showing. And it inspires me, but also makes me feel like, oh, this is possible. And I think that I remember the moment I think I decided to do it. I was getting ready for the Blues Fest this past year, and they were doing some fun promo where we went down to Coin 6, and Derek, who is the producer, set up this cool thing where it's like a Blues Brothers skit, and we were acting like we were auditioning, and he was like, had some of the other personnel pretending, you know, that they're the Blues Brothers. And it was really fun. And I think I was the last person to go, and the staff, and at this point I still was not sure if I was going to enter Journey to Memphis because I was nervous and I didn't think I was ready. And I overheard the staff at Coin 6 saying, well, that was amazing. I guess we saved the best for last. And then I thought, okay, if the producer of Coin 6 thought you were good enough, I think you can enter the competition. And you got to remember you want to learn. And you don't learn by sitting at home by yourself playing guitar. You learn by playing. So him believing in me, all the people who came to support, and just all the wonderful people that I've been meeting believing in me have been such a big part of why I'm here and able to do this and driving me to work harder because I want to make people proud and I want to represent the Northwest and I want to do a really good job. So it's like all connected, and the community is probably the most important thing for me.
And I appreciate you saying that because and I don't know if it's the blues community or the Portland music community. I haven't really made my mind up yet. But it's one or both that has been exceptionally welcoming for me. It's been an interesting experiment because I'm autistic. There are a lot of times where I don't feel like I belong, or I don't feel like I can be an active participant. And when I stumbled across the Portland blues scene, and I met Timmer, and I met Nicky Jones, and I met Johnny Wheels, and all of these amazing musicians, and so humble and warm and inviting and friendly, and it's like, this has got to be like something unique and special.
It is.
And I'm really starting to believe that. I'm really starting to recognize just how unique and special it is.
It's really special. And I will say, I've lived other parts of the country, and there's a lot of music communities that I love and I'm a part of, between, living in Los Angeles and living in New York, and friends and musicians and colleagues from all those places. And then, there's other scenes in Portland too that are all amazing scenes. But I will say the Portland blues community is really special and really supportive and full of love. It's unique and special. You're not making that up, because I feel it too. And not saying that all these other communities aren't great, but this one there's something super special about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love is, and I've seen you do this a few times as well, where you're a part of another act. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to get up on stage with this band. Right? Yeah, I'm going to get up on stage today with this group. Or I'm going to get up on stage with this singer. I want this guitarist to come up and play with me today. And it's just like a lot of like, I've seen a few times where like somebody who's a musician that didn't expect to play just shows up and they're like, oh, you're
Tony
getting on
Coleman.
stage. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. That was that's how I met Tony too. I had never met Tony, and I went to his show. He did a tribute to the Three Kings with a bunch of fabulous players, and I was just so in the zone, loving the music, sitting back, vibing. And he starts talking on the mic and was like, I wish I had, a singer who could come up here and like sing with me a little bit. I've been looking for like a nice young lady. I was like, is he reading my mind that I would love to sing with him because this music is so good? It was so weird. And so he called me up there to sing with him. And the funny story is I didn't know the song, but the blues is great. You can improvise. And I like picked up a couple things, and it was so fun. And Tony's been super great and supportive since, that wasn't that long ago. But he showed up at the Salem fundraiser for the journey to Memphis. And I had just gotten over like being sick. This was like 2 months ago. And I'd completely like lost my voice. It was like coming back, but it's the blues, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but we like our instruments to be able to work.
Yeah.
And so he shows up, and I was like, oh great. And it was solo too, so playing solo guitar and singing, you're very exposed, you're very just you could hear a pin drop, you don't have time to like mess around much. So it was really lovely for him to come, but I was super nervous because he was watching me. So luckily, he and Brandon and Kevin joined me for a couple songs at the end. It was so fun, and that was completely unexpected, but such a blast.
And I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, as an audience member, I'm telling you, I geek out every time I see that. It just makes me so happy.
Well, I was surprised as you.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
love
oh,
that.
yeah, let's do this. It was great.
So is it one of those things, is I would imagine it's actually more nerve-wracking to be a solo act
Yeah.
than to have a supporting cast around you?
Yeah, if they're
How do you
well,
combat those nerves?
if they're great musicians like the group, that yes. If everybody's listening to each other and we all kind of know the same language, then definitely, because you're not as exposed. I'm waiting for the time though when even if I sing a cappella, it's not. But if it's guitar and vocals, one, you're doing more, so your brain is having to work overtime, and two, I'm just building the confidence more on guitar. But it's definitely tougher for me to do solo, and it's getting less the more I play, because you're just on all the time. You know, you can't throw a solo to this person, or, you know, toy with the audience while the band is grooving, or go tune your guitar real quick. Like, you can't really have any time go by where nothing's happening. So that's one of the kind of more difficult things for solo. But it's also really beautiful and special when it's just you and you get those moments and it's like you're just the conduit, and it's really, not that it's not pure when it's with other people, but there's a purity when it's just you and you're making a song and this music. It's like a really, for me, it's like a connection to spirit that it happens also with a full band, but when it's solo, it's I would say it's more intense because both moments happen and feel that beautiful feeling, but you just have, it's kind of like you have the clay in your hands when it's just you.
I can see that. And so that, and I remember the first time I saw you play was at that Mekong Bistro. And when you got up on stage, everybody was sort of mingling and talking and were like sort of like indifferent. And then it was one of those moments where like sort of like the hair on the back of my neck kind of stood up a little bit, and I'm like, oh, that she's got a shot. Because like the minute you sort of got into your groove, everybody stopped talking.
Yeah.
And everybody was like there was a shift, like instantaneously, like there was a shift in the audience of like focus and attention from each other as like that competition setting to like, am I hearing this? Like, so I just wanted to convey that I saw that, and I was very appreciative that I was there for that moment.
Oh, thank you.
Because that was pretty freaking awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's so weird when it's yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, like the way I view my own movie is different than everybody else views it. And I know when I hear other artists and I see them play or I hear them, I'm like, there's that like, oh, they've got something special. And it's hard for me to judge myself, you know?
So we are our own hardest critics.
Yeah, but that means a lot, that even that just moment that it made, you know, the hair stand up. And I appreciate hearing that, because I can't really judge. I can judge that it's good enough, but it's so different when it's you listening from the inside versus someone that you're observing.
100%. It's the same reason I can never listen to my own podcast. I can't.
I don't like listening to myself either, but it is important. It's a learning experience. I try to force myself, but I don't do it enough.
I will on certain interviews. I just did an interview with a victimologist about domestic violence a couple of days ago, and learned a whole bunch of things that totally blew my mind that I had no freaking clue. And so I'm going to have to listen back to that one just because it was such a learning experience. And I'm like, I want to absorb every moment. And that's like, I just like I feel so blessed that I have this platform to talk to people. And one of the things that I'm curious about, because Memphis is coming up, like, do you have like your set list ready? Do you kind of have an idea of like what you're gonna play? And I'm not asking you to reveal that now, of course, but I'm just curious.
I have the majority of it ready. There's a couple things that I am still, you know, fine tuning and working through as far as what cover I'm gonna do. One cover, the rest are gonna be originals. And then still fine tuning it, and would like to continue to fine tune it. So it's not completely ready, but it's close.
And is one cover like a requirement?
No.
I'm just curious because like it seems like every person in the competition and every band in the competition has at least one cover.
I think that people like to connect with something they know. And the tricky thing is, when I was listening to kind of the rules and regulations and the recommendations, they grade on originality. So if you're going to do a cover, you're also going to get rated on originality. So it's not originality. So you have to make it special. And then you have to consider, but we're also in a blues context. So there's just a lot to consider when it comes to the cover. How can I make it unique? Still stay in, the blues idiom and still be me through it. So I'm just deciding. There's a couple tunes that I've done recently as solo, and I can't decide which one is it gonna be.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing else that I'm curious about, because as you sort of transition to sort of like the blues part and taken into this competition, has there been any sort of surprises along the way where things you like didn't expect?
In
terms of like the competition itself and or the pathway to the competition.
I've tried to go in with no expectations. Well, I didn't expect to go to Memphis. I'll say that.
That's fair.
I was like, that'll be nice, but I just want to get myself out there and meet people and see what opportunities can come from it. So that was probably the biggest, even though deep down I wanted to, it'd be nice, but there were also some really great performers. So that was probably the biggest. What else? Anything unexpected? Not really, because I've just am going into it with an open mind.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
We'll see. And I will say all the love and support, I wasn't expecting this much. It's like a shower of it. It's so nice. I was not expecting, all the fundraising and people so enthusiastic. It's just, that's been really beautiful and unexpected.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people understand just how much is involved with getting to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where when I first sort of paid attention and got into the whole competition, I guess I was just under the impression that the money was just going to be there for as artists to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the reality of the economy and the reality of the situation for musicians, most musicians in this Portland area are amazing and they have side jobs or something else to keep them going because it's really hard to afford to just be a musician this day and age. And so when I saw that the need for fundraising was there, at first I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. And then at the same time, I was like, oh, wait, this is an example of the community rallying to support the community and getting behind each other.
Yeah.
And making it so that people can experience this experience and do a real competition. And so it's been eye-opening and very inspiring, the whole pathway to sort of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And I geek out because I get to go. I'm just like, what? I get to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, me too.
So let me ask you this though. As we get closer, well, let me actually pause and ask a question that I forgot to ask earlier.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I talk about is the after the performance piece. So after you get done, do you mind people coming up and telling you how much they appreciate you as an artist?
Oh, no, not at all. I like to talk to people afterward and thank them for being there and meet people. And connect with them. I think afterward is a good time to do that because beforehand it's kind of like there's usually a lot going on. But if I can, I like to connect with people afterward for sure.
And the reason I ask that is because I hear often from people in the audience that they would love to go up, but they're nervous. And what I want people to understand is that most musicians, I would say 99.9% of musicians, want the audience to come up after the show and say hello and actually say what they felt. Yeah. Because, like, what is that feeling like when you get that sort of, and it's not accolades, right? But it's like when you get somebody coming up and telling you about, like, what they experienced as an audience member.
It just inspires us to keep at it and know that what we're doing is affecting people and it has purpose. And when we get to meet someone, talk about it one-on-one, and they enjoy the experience, it helps us remind ourselves, like, that's why we did it, to reach people.
And what's coming next for you? Are you going to be recording anything soon?
I have a couple songs that are nearly finished. I'm probably not going to record it until after Memphis. I have a show on the 20th of December at Jack London. It's a Christmas soul show.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. And I'll probably be like doing some sitting in and things like that. And then after Memphis, I'll just start thinking about another record. But right now, I think for the next month and a half, I'm going to just try and prepare for the trip and practice as much as possible. And, if more songs come, I record them on my phone or write them out. And I think after the competition is over, I'll start thinking about getting into a studio and putting them out.
I'm excited to see what's next.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, we've been at this for almost an hour.
Okay.
I can't thank you enough for being here and having this conversation. Like, I'm a huge fan, and I really am hopeful that you go far in Memphis, and I'm excited that I get to be a spectator, and it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I don't know what to expect, but I'm all for it.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, is this your first time too?
Yeah, this is my first time. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's going to be interesting because I'm going to be like the unofficial roadie for the Nicky Jones band. So like I'm going to drive them everywhere, and like we're all staying at the same hotel, or not hotel, Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a very interesting experience, and I'm geeking out. Like,
cool.
I'm pinching myself most of the time. It's just like,
yeah.
you know,
So am I.
Yeah.
And then I'm like a little nervous. I'm like, oh no, you'll only have a month and a half. No.
And it's like, it's coming up so quickly.
I know. I was like, I thought I had 6 months still. Time to practice.
So where can people go to find your music?
So I'm on Instagram, and it's Lilla, Lilla music, all one word, at Lilla Music. And then on Facebook, it's Lilla Music Official. And I have a website, lillamusic.com. And then on my website, if you go to the shows calendar, I think it's lillamusic.com/shows. That has, my upcoming performances listed. So all three of those places. And then they do have some of my albums and CDs around town, I think. Music Millennium, I don't know. Everyday Music, maybe. What else is still open? What record stores are still open? Or online. If you search Spotify, if you put in Lilla, The Awakening, that's the latest album, then it should pull up some of my stuff, as well as iTunes and stuff. You just put in Lilla, The Awakening.
And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that album yet, folks, you need to. It's a good one. Lilla, thank you so much. And I'll end the podcast the way I always end the podcast. Be kind, people. We are all on the same planet. We breathe the same air, and this world would be a much better place if we just treated everybody with kindness and respect. Thank you so much.